In a scene like Times Square or just regular theater marquees, one thing you're going to come across is a lot of light bulbs. Now, creating all those light bulbs can be pretty tedious unless you use a brush. Yes, brushes can actually create light bulbs. Let's go in here and see such a situation. Right here, we might zoom in right to this little area here, and you'll see that there's all these little light bulbs that make up just some of the signs. Let's go in here and create light bulbs. Now I'm going to create the basic shape using paths. These are the basic shape that's going to make up our brush tip, which will be a light bulb. I'm going to use the elliptical tool here and create a perfect circle. I'm holding down the Shift key to create that perfect circle, just like that. Now, if the light bulb is straight on, that would be the basis for the light bulb right there. However, in this particular case, I want the light bulbs to be slightly from the side, like a 3/4 view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this direct select tool here, and I'm going to grab the bottom point and drag it down. I'm holding down the Shift key to constrain it straight up and down. So now we get kind of like a 3/4 view of the light bulb. The face up on top here, and then the little socket area coming down. Now that's the basic shape right there. Now, this light bulb is going to be a clear light bulb, so I also want to have a filament inside. So with my pen tool, I'm going to start right about here, which would be about the center of the connecting area. I'm going to click right there and come straight up, hold down my Shift key to constrain. I'm going to click and drag to get a little point up there, which I'm now going to wrap around like so to create the little filament. And that's it right there. So those two paths, the ellipse and that little curlicue there, will become the basis of my brush tip. Now, when you create a brush, any part of that brush tip that's black will be opaque. Anything other than black, a color or a gray, will be transparent based on that particular value. So since the bulb is transparent, I'm going to select the ellipse for the bulb, and I'm going to fill it with a gray. So I'm going to pick a nice medium gray, like about that right there. Click OK, and in a layer, I'm going to create the bulb. I'm going to take that path and fill it. So now I'm going to select that little curlicue inside, which is the filament. I'm going to revert back to black because that part is going to be opaque. And I'm going to take my paintbrush tool, and we'll pick a small brush tip shape, like about this one right here. And I'm going to bring down the size considerably. I got the hardness set to 100%, and I got a size that's just about the right size I want right there. I could always test it over here on the side. That's good. That's what I want. And then I'm going to take that same path and then stroke it. So there's the basics for my actual brush tip. So when I select this, and it doesn't matter this area here because that's white, which means that brush tip will be transparent in that area. So I'll come over here and I'll say Define Brush Preset. There it is, and we'll call it Bulb. So now, go ahead and deselect it, and let's just go over here, and we don't need to see that anymore. I'm going to keep it open, but we're going to just not see it. I'm going to create a new layer on top of this. This is where we're going to actually create our little string of bulbs. I'm going to take the background here. I'm going to invert it so that we can see the little bulbs lit. So now, I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to create a path. Let's just go straight up and down right here, just like that. And I'm going to duplicate that path across here and over to here. 3 different paths, and maybe one that's kind of a curlicue. All right, so we'll just kind of do a little thing like that. Let's just curl this like that. So there, we have these 3 different paths, and let's move this one over just a little bit. These 3 paths are going to be where our bulbs are. So now I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to take my paintbrush and select that brush, which will be the last brush in our set right there, the one we just created, which right now is pretty big. So I'm going to bring down the size considerably, maybe a little bit bigger. That's a good size right there. So now, in that layer, I'm going to pick the color that I want my bulbs to be. So I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to pick a bright yellow, like that right there. Click OK. And in my brush engine, we're going to see there's the bulbs. So what we're going to do is going to separate them. Give them a little more spacing like that. Right there, about like that. We want them fairly close, but not too close. And then I want to go into my shape dynamics where we have some stuff happening. I don't want any size jitter. I could do that, but I don't want. I want all to be the same size. And you see that everything is set to 0, but the angle, the control is set to direction. If I have that off, then you can see that they're all straight up and down. So when I draw, it's going to look like that. Whereas when I set that to direction, the bulbs are going to follow the flow of my stroke. So there we go. That's the only thing I need to do. Now that I have that, make sure I'm in the right layer. Yep, I'm in the layer that's going to have the bulbs. So I go to the paths. There's my paths. And I say with the paintbrush, stroke them. And there we can see that we have all these little bulbs right there in place. Now these guys went in the wrong direction. Had I stroked it in this direction, it would have been fine, but no problem. All I have to do is just go in there and select those and just rotate them over. Just do a little flip horizontal. There we go. So there we have those bulbs going in the same kind of direction. Now they don't really look like bulbs yet. Let's go in there and make them look like bulbs. Double click on that layer of the bulbs to bring up the layer styles. And in the layer styles, we're going to start to give this some life. First thing we'll do is give them a little outer glow. The little outer glow is going to spread out from those bulbs, a little size there, and bring down the opacity a little bit, just so it's not so strong. They have a little outer glow going there, and a little inner glow as well. The inner glow, however, I'm going to change the color to a nice bright orange like that. And I'm going to change the mode to something like multiply. So I'm going to get this little orangey glow inside. I'm going to bring the size down to about a 2 based on the size of what I have here. And I click OK, and there we see that we have these nice little strings of lights that can be used just about anywhere.